Overall, obviously disappointed in the outcome of the game. I thought our kids played really hard. It was a very physical football game. I thought we had them well prepared. I thought our first half, I think they were right at 100 yards offense at halftime. We basically, us and South Alabama, I think, are the only two teams when I looked it up that held them under 300 yards. And that's what I told the guys. We played really well in some spots and some tough spots. I thought we responded, especially early in the game. Third down wise, we were 9 of 12. We were 75% on third down. A couple of those third and longs, I wish I would have put us in some man situations more, because it felt like, after the fact that they just, really struggled with us when we played man on them. But, I thought we gave ourselves a chance, especially early in the game, to stay in the ball game. Disappointed, at the end of the game, wish we would have got a stop, on the fourth and short. They boot. We cut the tight end loose after they were, going to sneak the ball there. And, that's a gutsy call by them too, up 3 scores and, in that situation to basically run a naked bootleg and kind of caught us on that. And then, the last drive was disappointing. We had some younger D linemen in at that point. The game was out of hand. We just couldn't stop the run there late, where they tacked on an extra touchdown. And so that was my main frustration looking at it, was, how the game ended for us. But I don't think on defense we had a bunch of guys quit. I think the guys that were out there competed and played hard, and we just, there were 5 or 6 key plays that didn't go our way. We can only control what we can control. We can't control sudden changes. We can't control field position. We can't control weather, officials. There were a lot of things that happened, but at the end of the day, we want to learn from this, and we want to learn, more importantly than anything, how to respond in the face of adversity and adverse situations, and how to be a man when things aren't going your way. And it's not to point the finger. It's not to point the blame. It's to take ownership and to try to get better as a group. And I do love this group of guys. I think we've got a really good, strong core group of leaders. I think it hurts them. I think that game hurt, especially the way we came out and played early on, and felt like we really, really could control the whole football game. That first touchdown drive they scored on, there were a couple, really key situations. We had a 4th and 3 where they scrambled for the first down. We had double spies for the quarterback, and the Mike backer lost his spy portion. The guy sneaks out of there and, gets 3 yards to move the chains. It's a game of inches, and I knew it was going to be like that, or I felt like it was going to be like that against them. I felt like we had to play really sound, fundamentally sound defense. We had to win in those key short yardage situations, and I felt like we were going to have to win the turnover battle, and that was obviously the big one that we didn't win. We didn't create any turnovers, takeaways on defense, and so that's how the game unfolded. I also felt like, we came out in the second half ready to play, and when we went down and scored, if we could have got a stop on that next drive, I think the game could have swung momentum back our way, and we didn't. We came up short. But it was a tough game. It felt like either we were backed up or, it was a pass interference to get them going. They hit us on 2 explosive plays the whole night. One was a great throw and catch by them, credit to their quarterback on the deep over route. We have pretty good coverage, and he drops it in a bucket, and then one was a busted coverage on a wheel route. And those were the 2 explosive passes. We didn't have any explosive runs really pop, which I was proud of because I thought those backs were really good, and that was a really good O-line. But just, those key situations, we weren't on the same page communication-wise on a couple third downs. That ended up inevitably, adding to, what cost us against a good football team.
Scott, before I ask you about Army, I wanted to ask you about a lot of the seniors on your defense and what those guys have meant. A lot of those guys for 3 years with you, of what they've meant helping turn this defense around and turning this program into a consistent bowl contender.
Well, I think, the biggest thing with this week is we want to honor those guys. I told them today, what's the difference between 7 to 8 wins? To me, this isn't about going and winning a football game as much as it's about going out and playing the game the right way to honor these seniors, And if we play the way we're capable of, we will win the football game. I'm firmly convinced of that. And so, it's about doing it right for the guys like Ralph's, that have been here through his time here, that made a commitment to come back. There's a number of guys, but he's the first one that's, as far as a guy that's been here a long time and has helped be a cornerstone for building this. A guy that was going to quit when we got here. He was ready to quit and hadn't played much, and just how his attitude and just how he's improved over the course of his career. So we want to do it the right way this week to honor those guys and their last home game at our stadium, which has been so good to us over our 3-year tenure. So, I don't think that, we've went through some highs and lows this year. There's no doubt we've had some good, tough come from behind wins on the road. We had a tough schedule. We've had 2 tough, field goal losses in some games. We don't want to. I don't want to let one game that got away from us for various reasons define this season and this group of guys. And I think that the way that we practice, the way that we prepare, the way that we come out and play. This Army team, this will be the most physical team we have played since we have been here. This is, they are really good. They are extremely well coached, and we're going to have to match that level of physicality if we want to have a chance. And so what we talked to the guys about today was more than anything honoring these seniors by how we play the game, by how we prepare this week, and doing it the right way by them.
Coach, obviously talking about Army, the first question is about the triple option. Is this something where this week, I know you mentioned last week that you looked at them a little bit on the bye week, but is this something where you have pretty much an entirely new game plan? And Coach Freeze talked about asking guys to do things they've never done before. Is that, the case this week against Army and their triple option?
I don't know. I wouldn't say asking guys to do things they haven't done before. It's base football for us. For us, we the foundation of who we are can't change too much, right? Our background, I guess I've been fortunate thus far as being able to work at option school. We've played, the Georgia Southerns. Part of the reason that I got hired at Memphis was, our option background. So I think, the foundation is there. It's just, they're extremely multiple. So getting lined up to all their formations, it's kind of similar to the Louisiana Lafayette. If you guys noticed in the game how much just tight end trade, shift, 12 personnel, shift to empty, those are all the things that we really had to work on throughout the week. And these guys are kind of the same way, just the ability to formation, you be multiple, obviously get your eyes in the wrong spot, and then they have explosive plays. So, there's still the foundational football piece of playing defense, of tackling, running our feet on contact. They are an option offense, but it's more zone dive and Q outside zone sweep than you find really true. Veer or even triple option kind of when you look at them. That's kind of how they're built. They're physical. They're gonna get those low stances. They're gonna drive you off the ball. They're gonna root you out, and they're perfectly fine with getting 4 yards every single play. And they have a 260-pound B-back. I wouldn't say it's we're not gonna we don't want to get too far from kind of our foundation and our base. But obviously, yes, you have to prepare. It's a little bit different when you're talking about an option team.
It's been, since 2018, since Liberty last played Army, and you fortunately have guys like Ralph's, Ben Alexander, some of those guys who are still around that played them. And do you think maybe just having some sort of familiarity with playing them, even though 4 years ago, could be beneficial for some of those guys?
I don't. I mean, you know, Damien, maybe the speed of the chop blocks and stuff like that. You know, you can't simulate. The hardest thing about prepping for an option team is your scout team organization, and that's what we have to do a great job of, giving our guys the best possible look. But you know, it's so hard to simulate the speed of it, the how low they are to the ground, all those things. So. You know, I think maybe from that standpoint, yes. Obviously, I have no clue what they did schematically in 2018. You know, I think there's probably more carryover for us, just, you know, Georgia Southern and some of those games, that there's been more, you know, option principles in there just from our past. So, yeah, maybe for a couple of those guys, but shoot, Ralph's played in so many games, I doubt he remembers half of that game, you know.
Yeah, in that game they went to a 3-4 with two true, I guess you would say, defensive ends at outside linebacker.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Georgia Southern game, and you guys obviously had a really good defensive performance that day in the Cure Bowl that first year. Can you draw back? You mentioned being able to draw back on that game a little bit. I mean, how similar are these two offenses, and is that something that you can look back to help the team this week?
Yeah, you know, obviously they were both option-based offenses. You know, the Georgia Southern, the Navy, even, you know, I think of those option-style offenses much more finesse. You know, when you really watch them, I mean, I'd compare Army more in my mind to, it's more like wing T when you look at just how downhill and physical and just it's over and over and over versus you know, when you compare it and watch. You know, a Georgia Southern or a Navy, where it seems like, you know, the ball gets put on the perimeter so much more in those offenses. These guys, I mean, they're just going to run you over. I mean, they're just so physical. So, you know, I think there's some carryover, but obviously, you know, not 100% the same scheme either.
And how vital will third down defense be in this game when Army can, by death of a thousand cuts, just bleed that clock out with time-consuming drives and by converting on third down?
Yeah, I think it's third, and I think it's fourth. You know, I mean, it's obviously it's going to be a game where, you know, you get into those 4th and 1, 4th and 2s. We're gonna have to find a way to win. You know, and so yeah, I think obviously as best we can, trying to get them into behind the chains early and making some plays early to not be in those 3rd and 1, 4th and 1s, because that's a tough life to live against an option offense, you know, as you guys know.